thank you for choosing Alternatives, a public access forum for expressing views and topics rich with the flavor of nonconformity. I'm Al DiGiacomo, and with us once again is Pat DiNizio. Many know Pat as the founder and songwriter for the award-winning concert and recording artist, The Smithereens. From an early age, Pat has been interested in politics, serving as a two-term Republican committee chairman in Scotch Plains when he was just 18 years old. This, of course, before following his first love of music. Now, after 20 successful years in the rough and tumble of the music industry, Pat DiNizio is the New Jersey candidate for the New Jersey Senate. Pat intends to use his music to inspire and educate young voters while re-energizing, in his own words, reminding the rest of us what America was, is, and once again be. Pat will be hosting local events throughout the New Jersey area, bringing his message to the people, telling why a DiNizio rock politics Jersey style in November could be good for all in the Garden State. Pat, welcome to Alternatives again.
Hi, Al.
And it's wonderful to have such a stature, a man of your stature, on our show, on our sweaty little stage tonight.
Well, that's very flattering. Hopefully we won't sweat as much as we did.
No, well, that's the beginning of the political campaign. There's always a lot of heat involved with it. Pat, on your website, DiNizio2000.org, you posted parts of the movie Bulworth.
Yeah.
And it's all about power and influence of television and political campaigns and the future of the republic. How did this play into the views in your political campaign?
The film Bulworth, which was written and directed and starred Warren Beatty, was about, I guess, the senator. Yeah, he was Senator Bulworth, who was corrupted by the political system, who had been a man of high ideals, and who, while immersed in the system, became corrupted and was influenced by the special interests and the PAC money and the insurance companies and the corporate interest that seemed to have corrupted the whole of the political system in our country. And I include quotes from the movie in the website because they're relevant to the sort of campaign that I'm running, which is a campaign wholly financed by the people. Our campaign is funded by $10 contributions here, $20 there, and we're coming up with different means of putting the message forth. You've heard of alternative music. This is alternative politics.
And you're on a show called Alternatives.
It's true.
So it's kind of
it's
like
no coincidence, really.
Well, actually, we started doing public access for the same reason that you're saying, to give the small person a little bit of access to a little bit of the media. Well,
it certainly democratizes everything in the way that the web and individual websites give or afford us all an opportunity to get on a more or less level playing field.
Now, as a quasi-politician, Pat, you've been working with the internet for many years now. Will you actually encourage people to send in lyrics, and then you, with your musical ability, kind of work with people you've never met before?
Yeah, that was something called Psycholaborations, which was a kind of tongue-in-cheek name, whereby people who perhaps had always wanted to write a song or had come up with a set of lyrics but didn't know how to get from point A to point B successfully in terms of putting those lyrics to music, could prevail upon my experience and whatever talent I've been able to nurture in this industry over the years, and I would help them to finish their song. I'm way behind on these songs. I mean, I was deluged with contributions, and I'm still working on them actually in my spare time when I'm not campaigning and we're not doing gigs with the Smithereens. And I have truly come up with some of the greatest collaborations I've ever done, and eventually they're going to be for sale, and I'm going to split whatever we make with these people that I've never met.
I don't think there's many politicians that have that coming from their heart, as I hear coming from you, Pat.
Well, I'm sure that most people out there who campaign or who get involved in public service, or the notion of public service, and again, I detest the word politics and the word politicians. They, to me, have a dirty connotation. I again prefer the word public servant. I'm sure that everyone's intent is honorable at the beginning. Someone sent me an email, a Smithereens fan, someone who supports our music and my songwriting, and said, "Pat, are you crazy? U.S. Senate? Why didn't you start small with something like mayor or dog catcher? And I responded, and I think rightly so, that had I done that, I would have been part of the problem and not part of the solution. Had I immersed myself in the corrupt political system that exists and continues to exist, I would have really not been part of the solution.
Well, what kind of experience did you gain as a Republican chairman when you were young?
Well, what I got was pretty much a lot of discouragement, the notion of having to play the game, the political game. You put your time in, and if you put 20 years in, or 10 years, or 15 years, and then someone decides that you're ready, you know, they're going to move you along. Like right now, it's Bob Frank's turn. It's his turn to be senator. He put in his time.
Right.
It's all part of the system. I am against that sort of system. It's been an interesting campaign so far. The main thing is the credibility gap. Certainly, it has been proven beyond the shadow of a doubt that entertainers have and can continue to make a successful transition from the world of entertainment or show business into the world of politics or public service. Sonny Bono proved to be a remarkable congressman. Fred Grandy, of all people, from the Love Boat, was a beloved three-term congressman. Bill Bradley was a celebrity. He was a world champion,
That's
New
right.
York Knick. The list goes on and on. Jesse Ventura was a professional wrestler. Ronald Reagan was an actor. This is nothing new. I think that we have the people skills and the communication skills that enable us to put across ideas and to convince other people that certain things should happen.
People who want to exert themselves, people who are extroverted, people who have that burning desire, not only to be in front of people to entertain, but
Yeah.
you can go that one step further to actually to lead the audience.
Well, I've got to say this. I was never driven to be in front of an audience. I always found it uncomfortable, but I figured if I wanted to be a musician, a professional songwriter, or a member of a band, then I would do it to the best of my ability. In other words, I would really be great at what I did. And despite the fact that I felt uncomfortable at first, I evolved into a good performer, hopefully a good performer on stage. It is not the desire for the limelight that is propelling me forward in this campaign. It's the desire to change the world.
It's a grand gesture.
Well, I mean, it can be done. It's just a matter of convincing people of the urgency of the plight of our country right now. I mean, I know this for a fact, that the country's in trouble, and we need more stand-up people to come forward and really represent the will of the people as opposed to the will of the corporate interests.
Now, we talk about the good economy.
Yeah.
We talk about the globalization of technology, of finance, and things like that. Do you think this is the next progression, be it good, be it bad, that mankind is moving in this direction of a centralized one authority?
Well, when you speak about things like that, immediately you're termed a conspiracy nut.
I think it's realism. Just read the papers.
I'm pretty realistic about it. I mean, you can tell that we're headed toward a one-world economy where everything is kind of interrelated.
I don't think we're headed that way. Someone's guiding us.
Yeah, I know it is. But let me say this: I am for the sovereignty of the United States of America. That's what I'm all about. You know, and I'm for the American people. I'm for empowering the American worker and the American family. This is what my campaign is about.
Would you champion the choice of people? Back in the beginning of our republic, the Founding Fathers would publish, although anonymously, in the New York Packet. If you read the Federalists, they published their essays on what they thought the republic would be. It seems that there isn't too much up front with this third wave that people are trying to coax other people into the next way of human society.
Well, it seems to be the dumbing down of society. We're immune now to images of all kinds, of violence, of depravity, of corporate greed. I mean, no one pays attention to it anymore, and everyone thinks that they're hopeless or hapless in the face of it, that no one has an individual voice. So we let things slide. You know, we're on that slippery slope of less and less control in our lives on a daily basis. I mean, things are a lot more controlled than they were 20 years ago, 30 years ago.
Certainly.
Growing up as a child, there were a lot less rules and regulations and restrictions on our behavior, on our social behavior especially. And I'm here to tell you that it doesn't have to be that way. If every individual raises their voice and gets registered and votes, they will make a significant difference. You know, someone will say, why should my voice or vote count? But every bit
It's
helps.
a good point, and I'm with you on that one, Pat. But we've seen...
You can cut me off anytime you want, Al.
That's my job,
fine.
Pat. That's my job. And I get very quiet when you pick up the guitar.
Go ahead.
And we'll be doing that in a couple of seconds here. But do you think that by actually converging into this new kind of thought-provoking way that people are less and less apt to use their voice in the last 7.5 years, if you raise your voice against this present administration, you're audited by the IRS.
Yeah.
Do you think that's a kind way for people to kind of like keep their opinions to themselves?
Well, I mean, I'm certainly putting my career as a musician at risk by speaking as I'm speaking, openly and truthfully, and coming forth with ideas that everyone knows about, or, you know, talking about things that everyone knows exist, but no one will step forward and talk about it, you know. So, yes, there's a certain amount of fear that's been instilled in people where they feel as though they cannot raise their voice. Of course, it's only fear that's instilled in people who are conservative or centrist. If you're to the far left, you can say whatever you want, apparently.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So let's give the far left something to crow about.
Yeah, I'm not knocking them. It's just that let us all have an opportunity to say what we feel.
Absolutely.
And to live the sort of lives that we want.
Now, you've got some new tunes that you're out on the Rock Politics New Jersey that you're going to be doing. So we're going to hear something a little on the newer side here?
Yeah, this is pretty much the campaign theme song. It's a song I wrote called I Believe. Fading like the falling rain, some subtle miracle I can't explain. 'Cause in the dark where no one sees, solving the unspoken mystery of who's still alive from the morning after. There just has to be more to this life than the will to survive. I believe, I believe, I believe, I believe. Without a trace, without a sound, finding your way just a face in the crowd. 'Cause in the end we leave alone, making our way through the great unknown. And who's still alive come the morning after. There just has to be more to this life than the will to survive. Sing it, Al. I believe, I believe, I believe, I believe. I'll edit it.
Well, thank you, Pat. You threw me that little pitch there. You made me all sweaty, and it sang off key.
You did all right.
I loved it, man.
You did good.
Now, you're going to be doing some other events in the Rock Politics Jersey here. Let's see, we're going to be doing the Sandbar in Jersey City. Is that it?
That's
the
correct,
Sandbar?
yeah. These are political fundraisers, but this is not
October 7th, though.
That's
it's
true.
Saturday.
This is not about doing things as they've ever been done before in politics in New Jersey, and certainly no rock star or former rock star has ever run for this high office. I have to bring to the table what it is that I've done all these years so that people understand who I am and they recognize me from the music that we did before. And then I talk about the issues at hand. I take questions from people. I don't shirk away from any questions. I don't shy away from debates. This thing is all on the table, and it's about involving people in the political process. What this campaign is about getting people registered and getting them voting and getting the average American citizen, the forgotten majority, to express their opinion and to participate in the political and democratic process.
So you have voter registration?
We have voter registration forms at the events. We have absentee ballots. Again, rather than crash through, the analogy is like a football game, rather than crash through the defensive line of the Democratic and Republican parties, which control the whole show and
Right.
don't want to let a third-party candidate like myself participate in debates or get involved in any way. We're just going to run around them by doing events like this.
Well, that sounds great. Now, you also have another one coming up at the Birch Hill.
Yeah, the Birch Hill.
In Old Bridge, and that's in October, and that's going to be announced, so people need to visit your website.
The website is www.DiNizio2000.org. That's DINIZIO 2000.org. I just want to stress the seriousness of this campaign, despite the fact that I'm here playing my guitar and we're having fun. It's a very real thing. I've been working on this for a long time, and I believe that I have something to say. I'm not going to hide behind political rhetoric or vacillate on any of the positions that I've taken. And if people want to know, they can come right up to me at any event and ask me directly what my feelings are about anything.
And if people want to volunteer, they can volunteer on this website.
Yeah,
it's a very nice website.
It's an interesting website because there's a sense of irreverence to it. We have our own political cartoons kind of ridiculing our opponents, which is part and parcel of politics. There are certainly a lot of quotes from media and pop culture that people can relate to. There are video clips, there's music, there's a little bit of everything for everybody, and you can really get a sense of where I'm at specifically on the issues, whereas if you go to my competitors' websites, they're not going to let you know specifically where they're at on the issues. They're going to hide behind things.
Okay, so
that left you speechless. That little bit of.
It did, Pat. I mean, here we are. We're sweating it up there. And,
yeah.
And
we're going to establish a fund for you to get air conditioning in your studio here, Al.
Well, thank you, Pat. All donations are gladly accepted.
I understand.
Now, let's get back to some of the controversial issues that you want to address here. What is probably the most pressing issue that, when you're elected, that you would address?
I think that the most pressing, let me start again, I'm tongue-tied. I think that the most pressing issue is campaign finance reform. Now, I was interviewed by a writer from the Associated Press the other day, said, Pat, there was a poll taken and campaign finance reform is at the bottom of the poll and money and economics is at the top. And I said, I will not change my position on this, neither will Senator John McCain, who has threatened to shut down the Senate over this issue. This is the single most important issue. Corrupt campaigns are the root of all evil in politics. It's why the will of the people is not reflected. When corporations and special interests are financing campaigns and elections, these people who are elected by these corporate entities are given the attention. The average working American does not have enough money to command the attention of the politicians that they elect. It's just a fact. And that's a very important issue.
But do you think that people have grown to the fact where they accept the amount of corruption, they accept the amount of, I don't know...
No, they accept it because they're tired of politics and politicians. They're tired of the political process, and because of campaign finance corruption, they feel that they have no voice. So it's like beating your head against the wall. Basically, people have to be informed. I don't underestimate the intelligence of anyone who's watching us or listening. People have a curious itch or a desire to know the truth, and that's the truth of it. If the truth of it is that campaign finance reform is necessary because the lack of it leads to evil in politics and it leads to nothing being done, okay? Then I'm going to speak about that, and the economic end of it will be taken care of if we correct the system from within. I firmly believe that. I mean, there's other issues I'm strong on, like Second Amendment rights. I am a firm advocate of the right to bear arms for honest citizens to defend themselves and their property. It's without a doubt one of the more important things. And again, not a popular subject for someone in the entertainment to talk about, but I don't care.
It seems that we could always ask, who will keep me safe? I mean,
well,
no, I don't want to
you
live in
can
a
answer
police
that
state.
Al, you can answer that question yourself. Can you depend on the government to keep you safe? I don't think so. I think that we need to be skeptical always of the powers that be. I think the media needs to be skeptical of the government and keep the government honest rather than take the side of the government, which increasingly they seem to be doing. You know, we got to beware the government media complex, as it were.
Well, basically, it's the same people who contribute. The people who run commercials on television are the same people who are donating to the politicians. So
You've answered the question.
wow, maybe we should do a show.
Maybe you should do the show yourself next time.
We better not, Pat. That's a bad idea. So
You understand where I'm going with this. It's
Absolutely.
basically about the sovereignty of the United States of America and about American people being free from repression of any kind and having a voice. And again, everyone must get registered to vote and vote in this election. When less than 40% of the people in New Jersey, or the people of New Jersey, my home state where I was born and raised and I've spent my entire life, when less than 40% of the people vote, it's a tragedy. And I'm not yelling at anybody, but if things don't go the way that you want them to, then you've only got yourself to blame. And you got to get registered and you got to vote, whether you vote for me or not.
do you think that maybe other musicians that have strong opinions, especially to the right, say like Ted Nugent? You
Well,
think
Ted Nugent and myself are probably the only two musicians in the entire industry that share this point of view, honestly. It's literally impossible to list or enlist the aid of anyone in the business if you're in the middle or you're to the right slightly. And I believe that my points of view are common sense. My platform is a very common sense platform. It speaks the truth. It speaks to the heart of the American people, and that most people are firmly in the middle. You've got the far left and the far right, and they get all the attention mostly. But most of us believe in live and let live, and we want to be left alone to live our lives without government interference. We believe in less government, not more government. We believe in the entrepreneurial spirit of America, and we want to be left alone just to live our lives.
basically that's rock and roll, isn't it, Pat?
It's true.
I can't help but trying to, by listening to your music, by being a Smithereens fan for the last 20 years of my life here, to hear your words in music, it seems that you want to run on a platform that really speaks from almost a piece of every one of your songs with the Smithereens.
It's possible. I never thought about it that way, but the songs were about enriching humankind or humanity. They were talking about people and relationships. They were never overtly political. It was about personal politics, the politics of relationships. But in the end, that's all that there is anyway.
Too much passion is not enough, Pat. Did anyone ever tell you that?
I wrote that, yeah, I remember that.
but
I probably heard it somewhere else,
But it's
honestly.
political passion. It's passion for your neighbor.
Al,
Passion for life. It's passion for liberty.
Al, as I said to you before, I was apolitical for many, many years. I was living in the vacuum of a tour bus on the road for the better part of 15 years, and I was upset tremendously by everything I'd see in the paper or on television or here on the radio, and I shut it out. And one day I woke up and I had a rebirth, call it a political rebirth or a spiritual rebirth or whatever you will, where I felt I had to get involved, and I'm committed to this to the bitter end.
Well, it seems like you're traveling the road of destiny.
I don't know. That's for others to determine.
Well, well, in our last few remaining minutes here, Pat, we've got a few minutes left here.
You're going to ask me to play again, Al?
I'm gonna kind of stretch us out for just another 30 seconds, and then I'm gonna ask you to play again here after we go through our little close. But
Yes.
you need volunteers, Pat.
We always need volunteers. Again, this is a campaign of the people, and it's for the people. And hopefully I can represent the people in an honest and true way. And it's about, let's put it this way, I'm calling my campaign a crusade. It's a crusade of the people against the special interests. And it's necessary that there's a third-party candidate in any political debate or campaign. This is very important. And that's all I have to say.
Well, Pat, it's been an extreme pleasure to have you here.
Thank you, Al.
So Pat DiNizio is running for the senatorial seat, giving up by Senator Frank Lautenberg on his retirement. And
he's got enough money to retire on, let me tell you that.
Pat has been our guest, and I want to thank you for giving us your candid perspectives on the issues many people in New Jersey share with you, Pat.
Thanks, Al.
And for those wanting more information about rock politics Jersey style and a coming event in your area, you can visit www.dinizio2000.org. And if you have thoughts or comments on our show or would like to be a guest on Alternatives, please contact us. Our page will be up at the end of the show. I'd like to say thanks to our fabulous crew who always pull through no matter what the temperature is, Pat.
They're great people.
You know it. And they work very hard to help bring our show into your home. So for OKTV Productions, I'm Al DiGiacomo. Thanks for watching. And remember, Pat DiNizio, when you open up those curtains in November. Pat, give us about two and a half minutes here, buddy. Thank you much, Pat.
Listen to me, everything will work out fine. There's a time in your life when you're losing your mind. Just come with me, something different you'll find. I don't want to know where you intend to go. Everything changes, but nothing is stronger than love. Listen to me, everybody changes round. 'Cause tomorrow you're up and the next day